good evening. This is the uh, November 13th meeting of the Board of Health in Monroe. It is 6:05. I'm calling the meeting to order. This meeting will be conducted completely electronically, and all public may access this meeting in real time as set forth with Connecticut law. Um, all present of Amy Lahaney, Mary Beth McGuire, Chris Thornley, Chair, and Barbara is listening in as well. Um, the first order of business will be public participation, which nobody else has logged in, so we will move right along to approving of the minutes from the previous meeting, which was September 11th. I have read the minutes already and will motion to approve said minutes.
I'll second.
Okay. Mary Beth, did you read the minutes already?
Yep, I did.
Okay. And your vote to accept them?
Yep.
Okay. That vote carries unanimously. So we will move right along to the next order of business, which is the Director of Health. Take it away, Amy, and tell us about all the fun things happening.
Awesome. So in September, we organized a well water testing program project in collaboration with York Analytical Laboratories in Newtown. And so what we had done was we had done some outreach and some education on well water testing. And if you're on well, that you should be testing your water on at least an annual basis. And then we worked with York to offer well water testing to our residents at a discount. They could pick up the bottles from the health department that week of September 16th, or even the day of September 20th at the farmer's market, and then drop them off at York anytime after that. Or they could have picked them up during the week and dropped them off at the farmer's market. York was at the farmer's market with us collecting samples while they were there. So we had about 15 people take advantage of that, which was kind of exciting. That there was probably 15 more people than we're going to have tested their well this year. So we are hoping to make this an annual event, and hopefully we can get more an increase in numbers and just awareness for people to test their well water. Ironically, the storm in August probably boosted that number because so many people were talking about well water testing after the flooding. We did participate in October.
Actually, I have a question for, I don't know if you're in Trumbull, right, Amy? You live in
Yeah.
Trumbull?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Trumbull, but did you guys get um a thing from Aquarian about
We did. Yeah, I
test
spent
lead
a
in
lot of
no
time on
open
the
water?
phone with people. So they were mandated to do that from the new EPA rule with copper after the Flint, Michigan water crisis. And so they have to try to figure out what the service lines are in the area. And then, any service lines owned by them have to be fixed and, get rid of the lead. It caused quite a stir. Probably could have been handled a little better, though they were pretty prepared. I mean, if you went on their website, it was pretty intensive. They had a lot of information. They have an interactive map where you can look up your house. So it's been interesting.
Okay. Are you well or city water, Mary Beth?
I am well.
You're well. Okay.
Yeah, we are.
So yeah, so that made for some fun.
Yeah, I'm sure it did.
And that'll continue on. I think they have until 2027 to finish that. So there may be more letters that'll come out as it goes along.
And
Gotcha.
it was no cost to the homeowner, right?
It is a cost to the homeowner if the pipe from where the valve is to inside the house or anything inside the house is lead. Then
Okay.
it's owned by the homeowner, so it becomes a homeowner's cost. Anything that's
Okay.
off of the water valve the other way is Aquarium's cost.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that was part of the little bit of confusion.
Yeah. I think the angst came from that probably.
That and the unknown part, because they just said,
Yeah.
I mean, the majority of their letters were unknown. We don't know what your water line is made of, and that caused a lot of
Yeah.
anxiety. So
To say
that
the
was,
least.
what was that?
To say the least.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little
I had
bit.
a lot of
I talked to a
friends
lot of people.
worried. Yeah.
The good thing, bad thing, about lead in water is you can actually taste it. So it's not
Huh.
something that is not tasteable. I tell the story that my first apartment in Black Rock was in a house in the 1800s, which ironically I went and looked it up on the Aquarian site, and it does have a lead service line. But in the morning, it tasted so sweet. I mean, the water had the sweetest taste to it. So if you have lead pipes, you
Weird.
typically will taste it and know it ahead of time.
That's
Oh,
weird.
okay.
So we participated in the Massac High School Forum on Underage Drinking and provided educational materials on cannabis, opioids, and prescription drug misuse. That was in October. We have a new public health nurse. I don't know if I mentioned it last time. Her name is Jill Mitchell. She recently retired from the town of Fairfield Health Department, and she was the nursing supervisor there. So she's joining us, and Bernie has been spending the fall training her, and Bernie's last day with us will be at the end of November. And Samantha, our chief sanitarian, and Kelsey, which is the hybrid sanitarian health educator position, they both attended a soils training this fall and are now enrolled in the phase 2 septic class that the state is currently teaching. So that was that. Environmental health activity report. We're on schedule for all of our inspections. In the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks, our soils and septic has become a little busier again. So that is always somewhat exciting for us. Our revenue report, we're on track. We're moving along for the fiscal year. And then our grant update, the Public Health Emergency Preparedness Grant was signed. The contracts are all set and in place. So we're working on our plans and the other deliverables with our part-time Public Health Emergency Preparedness Coordinator. And our Workforce Development Grant runs through 2027. We're spending a lot of the funding on trainings, but we're also using that funding to have Bernie be able to stay and train Jill for the fall. So that's been really good. And then OpenGov, we had talked about that last time. We in the health department are hoping, crossing my fingers, that we get to launch first on December 9th. And that would enable us to do our licensing for our salons and cosmetology as kind of a test run before we do our restaurants, since that is the huge bulk. We're not 100% sure that's going to happen, but we are aiming in the health department for the 9th, while the rest of the town would go live in January. We do have all of our permits and licenses already set to go on OpenGov, and we've tested them all. So now it's just kind of getting the back end stuff finished.
Cool.
So that's all I had for the director's report.
Awesome. Yeah, actually, that was my only question about that. How was that development going? But I guess it's going pretty well if it's going live in less than a month. Hopefully, anyway.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I kind of decided that I really liked it and just kind of kept playing with it. And, it helps that I'm very friendly with New Canaan's health director, who had just launched last year. So I did
Mhm.
borrow a bunch of her stuff. But then once we did it the first few times, it's really easy. So we did some internal ones. We have a bunch of the external facing ones. So now we're kind of waiting for finance and the back end with the GIS and the addresses to get situated. So hopefully we can go live first. Otherwise, we'll go live with everybody else.
Cool. Okay. Sounds all good in the hood.
That's my favorite saying.
I do say it quite often too. All right. Um, the only other question I had was, and now I don't remember her name. How is the other new girl's training going? Uh,
Kelsey.
Kelsey, that's it.
Kelsey. Kelsey's doing great. She did the soils training, and she's in phase 2 septic right now. We are still in a holding pattern from the state about the food training. I've sent a lot of emails they pretty much hate me, which is fine. Um, so I'm hopeful they finally answer one of my emails, but I'm gonna guess once they start recertifying what's called the food training, food instructor training officer, something like that, that we will be at the top of the list so that I stop emailing them, which is my goal.
Yes, absolutely. The old squeaky wheel gets the grease kind of thing.
That's what we're doing.
Cool.
So
All right.
so we're just waiting for that. And after that, those are the last two things she needs. She needs the phase two septic, which she's in right now, and then the food certification.
Excellent. And then she'll be considered a full-fledged sanitarian.
She will be able to move into that phase two of that position and get the
Okay.
salary bump, and then she would have the option to sit for her registered sanitarian test when she chooses to, if she does, but that's not a requirement of that particular position.
Right, right, right. Okay. All right, good deal. Uh, okay. Anything else that we had lingering from last time that you know of?
No, I think I had kind of moved it into the director's
Yeah.
report.
Okay. Um, all right. So, what goes on with our budget at this point?
Okay, so in our budget, I prepared the revenue projections, so I included those in your packets. I'm kind of a geek with my tables and you know, statistics and averages and stuff. I would have graphed it, but it doesn't graph very pretty. I have tried that. So I'm still using all the data we have since the department has existed after the um, end of the district. So it's all the way back to 2016. I'll probably start to drop off some of the earlier numbers as we get further along. The last column is the proposed of what I'm proposing for for the next fiscal year starting in July. It's about $1,000 less than this year, but
Hmm.
I think we are going to see some decreases in some of our columns. We talked about the B100As last time that we're not recharging people who already have them in their files because I just don't think it's fair.
Yep.
Um, and so we do see some of that. We're definitely going to see a decrease in food service reinspection fees because now you do have the option to correct on site. So that's going to lead to less fees for that. So
Oh,
there
like
are,
as a re-inspection fee. I got you. Okay.
yeah. So some, those fees are going to be lower. Anything that has a license attached to it, like the food, the pools, and the salons, the number I used is the final number of the 2023 to 2024 year, because that should be the number that we're licensing. Again, there is variation. Salons do close and don't reopen. Sometimes a salon may have changed hands 2 or 3 times in a year, so that could skew my numbers. But I typically just use that last full fiscal year's number for the next one.
Okay. I like that. I think that's a smart idea.
And then we did add in a tick column because we are doing the ticks now, and we added back in the child vaccine line, which we had done last year. As far as the rest of the budget, I'm not really making any major changes. I'm not asking for any new positions, not really asking for any capital expenses or outlays of money. There'll be some a little bit movement here and there, but for the most part, my budget will stay the same, with the exception being this year's budget had this community health needs assessment fee included in it, and that's a fee that we only pay once every 3 years, so that'll come back off.
Okay. All right. Um, as far as like any of our department vehicles, anything, are they getting aging out? Are they getting close?
Oh,
Uh,
they're old, but
yeah.
that actually is not coming from health department, I've been told. It actually comes from public works because they're supposed to be maintaining the fleet of vehicles.
Okay.
Because I did try last year to put in for a capital for a car, and it has to come from Public Works. So Public Works is fully aware of the fact that the health department, aka Amy, really wants a newer car that is not rusting um, out in places. So I am at the top of the list when we get another one. So
Oh,
once
good.
somebody cycles through and somebody else gets a new car, I'll get their car.
Gotcha.
So
Or do they, obviously they got to recycle the police cars as well, right?
I don't know how often those are actually making it all the way out
Oh, okay.
and through. Most of the cars that are being recycled are like the first selectman's car or the head of
Hmm.
public works car. So those are the ones that are kind of coming through.
Understood. Okay. Um, okay. And you don't see any other like expensive trainings or anything like that that are on the horizon that you or your people are going to need to take that are going to cost us any kind of larger expenditure or anything like that?
Nope. The awesome thing about that workforce development grant is it's exactly for trainings and travel. So Sam is participating in a leadership program through NEHA, which is the National Environmental Health Association. So she will be going to Arizona, I think, in the spring. And that will be able to be completely paid for through the grant so that
Oh,
the town
awesome.
doesn't have to do any of it.
That's really great.
So timing wise, it worked out perfect. So she can go and, and get to be part of something that's somewhat different and not, we didn't have to worry about the money for it.
That's
That's
great.
great.
Yeah, I agree. That's awesome. Okay. I can't really think of anything else off the top of my head. So obviously, we absolutely have to meet next month. Um, and you could present your actual budget numbers and so forth to us. Um, and obviously, if you come up with any things between now and then, we can certainly talk about it at that point. And we'll vote on our budget on that day. Um, if do you have any other questions about anything, Mary Beth?
No, I don't think
No?
so. Pretty
Okay.
straightforward. Yeah.
All right. All right, so we'll move on to our final new business item, our 2025 meeting schedule. Um, we have talked, Amy and I have talked about it, just so you're aware. Um, we talked about scaling back because we don't really need to meet every month.
Hmm.
There's not that much going on at this point in time. But it's far easier for me as the chair to just simply cancel the meeting rather than trying to push through a special meeting if we do
Hmm.
need to meet for some reason, uh, for whatever. I've only had it happen once or twice in the 5 years I've been doing this, so it's not something that happens very often. But nonetheless, it's easier to just use a regular meeting.
Yeah.
So,
Makes sense.
we're going to still stay with the, second Wednesday of every month kind of thing. And if, after Amy kind of emails me and says, hey, we got nothing going on, or we have lots going on, or, we need to meet, it's been a while, type thing, and we'll kind of take it from there.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay. All right. So, with all of the pomp and circumstance of being able to do her first vote, I
Woo.
will go ahead and um, I will nominate and bring forth the meeting schedule and bring it to a vote. Amy, seeing
Yes.
as though you prepared it, I would hope you'd be in for it.
Actually, Barbara prepared it because she keeps me
Because
on top
Barbara's
of
the
all of this
best.
stuff. She's the best.
She's the
So,
best.
but yes, it looks great because Barbara always
Okay.
does great stuff.
Yeah, she
Thank
does.
you. Thank
Uh,
you both.
yeah, no problem. Mary Beth, your vote.
Yes, I vote yes. It looks
Okay.
great.
So that carries unanimous. So we can go ahead and file that with the secretary, or excuse me, the town clerk, not secretary.
Yep,
Uh,
that'll go to the town clerk.
okay. Anything else, folks? Any other questions? You all good over there, Barb?
I'm fine, thanks.
All right then. All right, so with that being said, I will motion to go ahead and adjourn tonight's meeting. It's approximately 6:25. When do you have to second it, and then the last
I
have to
second
vote?
it.
Okay,
I s-
thank you. All right. All right, so we have decided to end meeting. Thank you very much to everybody. I am going to stop recording.